Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Burning Road podcast. I'm Jake Scarborough, joined by our special guest this week, ARCA driver and sometimes part-time truck driver, Brayton Laster. Brayton, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Well, we've got a bit to talk about with you today. Obviously, to get things started this year, just a week after Daytona, I believe, it was announced you had signed a deal with Rise Motorsports
Mhm.
to get a couple more races in this season. Tell us more about that partnership.
Yeah, so returning to Rise, Rise is a team I kind of worked with last year a little bit. We ran the two dirt races. Um, Springfield and DeCoin, and then we ran Salem at the very end of last season, kind of the final 4 or 5 race stretch there. And we got 3 top 10s in a row with them. My first top tens, the team's first top tens. So that's pretty sweet in my career. I have a decently, reputable dirt background running dirt late models across the Midwest, and that's how that whole first deal kind of came together. And then we didn't really have a whole lot of plans to really run with them a whole lot this year. We talked about doing this race and that race and maybe come back for the dirt races and this and that, and then we're sitting there actually after I DNQ'd at Daytona. I'm sitting in our hotel watching the start the truck race, and what would end up being a very long truck race.
Yeah.
And Tim Goulet calls me, and him and his wife Rita, they own and run Rise, and Rita's normally driver as on short tracks and this and that, and they're the only employees really for the team. They both work a third shift job, and then on whenever they're not working third shift, they're working on the race car. So it's a very small family owned operation, and I'm talking to him, his car DQ2. They had Mitch Gibson behind the wheel, I believe, and he was kind of talking. He's like, "Hey, do you have any thoughts about maybe running Kansas in early May?" I'm like, "That would be pretty sick." And so we kind of got talking. I'm like, "Oh, you guys got open?" Because kind of came that they're going to try to run a good majority of the schedule, and as far as equipment goes, is going to be like their biggest hindrance because they only have one car, two motors, and a spare body. So if someone goes out there and barrel rolls at Talladega, they're going to be done for a hot minute.
Yeah.
So it's definitely they'll puckering, kind of watching the car go around, the track. I'm like, hey, I'm driving that car in 2 3 weeks. Don't tear it up, please. Um, and so we announced the deal to go back to the dirt races, and then Kansas coming up, which was my first go around at Kansas. We were there last year spotting. I was spotting for Zachary Tinkle, who broke pretty early on, but still pretty cool to kind of go back there. And it's gonna be a really neat week, and I'm really excited for it.
And as you mentioned, you kind of got a start in your career with dirt
Mhm.
racing. That's
Yep.
something not a lot of people would know. What made you pursue dirt racing originally before going to a NASCAR division?
Yeah, so it's definitely kind of an odd background. So Dur was actually kind of mid-pack. My camera's blinking once again. I don't know why it's
Yeah,
doing that. It's kind of cool. We're going back
I've
to the
had it
80s.
happen before. Don't worry.
We're going back to faulty hardware like it's 1987. So we'll try this real quick. So I mainly started out about 7 8 years old. So like 13 14 years ago, racing go-karts at a very very flat track called the Indianapolis Speedrome. It's a flat 5th mile. At the age of 12, I was racing street stocks, Fender cars, and then about the age of 14 15, we made the move to be running figure eight cars, like figure eight late models there, which is a very odd career path to go down, but that's what the speedrun is known for. Speedrun, Indiana, in general, we're known for more than open wheel racing.
Yeah.
Figure eight's a huge deal here, and these are like full blown late models, and I mean it's like the primary class. These aren't junkers. These are top of the notch equipment, and so kind of ran that for a couple of years, and about the same time too, we were just trying to figure out how to keep working up the ladder, and for the speed run, you can't really get any higher than figure eight stuff, and kind of had to go touring a little bit, or there's something that we can take to more than just that one track. And then
Yeah.
the figure eight cars are pretty exclusive to the speed realm around here. And so I'm like, hey, there's tons of dirt tracks in the Midwest. And we kind of sat down with CJ Rayburn, who, one of the dirt late model greats. And I was 15 at the time, 14, 15. And uh kind of like, hey, let's go dirt racing. And I had no idea what I was doing. Went out there first night. I think finished 10th or 11th, my first ever late model race, and ran the full season at Brownstown Speedway in 2018. Got Rookie of the Year, 10th in points, which Brownstown's a pretty competitive track. A lot of the Road of Outlaw guys come through there. A lot of the Lucas Oil late model guys come through there. A lot of big names come through Brownstown. So it's a pretty competitive track. They normally send people home almost every night, even for like the weekly shows. So that was pretty cool to kind of go out there and be able to do that. and it's kind of to make me a better driver. And we still do a ton of asphalt stuff even today, and even back then, and when we are doing dirt stuff, I was still running figure eight stuff all the time. Either it might have been like a front wheel drive car or a go kart. It made me though a better driver, whether it was asphalt or dirt. And so we just kind of went that route until we could kind of do a little bit better on a budget. Do you look at a regular asphalt late model show for a Super Late model, and these guys are going through a set of tires for practice to throw a brand new set on for qualifying. And brand they go three, four sets of tires,
Oh yeah.
a race. It's spending 3 or 4 grand. And meanwhile, dirt shows, even the top national guys, you got 6 tires for the whole weekend,
Yeah.
not or maybe the whole race night. Practice, you don't really practice as much, which is kind of it has its pros and cons. You're not putting as much wear and tear on the car or the motor, but you're also not spending so much on tires. But if you miss your setup, you gotta kind of hope you have right for qualifying. If something's electrical wrong, you gotta hope you fix it. Don't really get a second chance at it. Because on asphalt, you get 4 or 5 practice sessions. You can do a whole race in practice if you wanted to. Dirt, you got 3 hot laps and that's it. So we kind of went that route because it was more affordable, cheaper, tons of older chassis. We're from Indianapolis, and we have CJ Rayburn, who's just south of us, and I went down, like literally lived about 5 minutes from his shop, and like I said, he was one of the greats. He's won millions of dollars from racing, or his cars have, and for those that don't know, basically, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, basically any and every dirt late model was a CJ Rayburn. You go to any race, and 90% of the field will be a Rayburn late model. I think it was like 2003, 2004, like his prime year. He sold over 500 cars that one year.
Wow.
So like yeah, he was a pretty stout guy. He kind of took me in under his wing, and he was my mentor and taught me everything I knew about dirt racing. And we ran some older Rayburn, and he had a huge collection of parts, so we needed something. He had it. So that's kind of why we went that route. And then 2022, we got the deal to go run Daytona and ARCA with Mullins Racing, and never really looked back. I never really thought I'd make it up to a national level. It was never really in the works. We never really had that game plan. We didn't have a 5-year plan. We were just racing, have fun, and kind of got that big break out of nowhere. And we're like, all right, we're here, we're having a good time. Let's go for it. And that's kind of where we've been ever since. We're still doing dirt races and figure eight races and having fun.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, this is kind of how you started. You still kind of show up to the short track scene every now and again. Is dirt racing still something on the table that you could pursue later on to try going through the ranks there?
I mean, it's definitely its own animal. You got guys that make a ton of money doing dirt racing. I'm not really in it for the money. If I was, I would have quit a
Yeah.
long time ago. Obviously, though, you want to try and get to a point where you can call it a career. Um, yeah, I'm still trying, hoping to get an education. I'm still working this and that. I still got to put food on the table, pay the bills. I got 2 cats and a girlfriend. And those cats eat a lot of food, let me tell you. Um, so I gotta be able
We
to pay
see
for
one of them in the
those
corner.
groceries. Yeah, we got Ellie Snowy over there chilling. Um, so I gotta be able to put food on the table, and I'd love to be able to say, hey, no, I'm 21 years old, and I pay for my life, my living, with racing cars, and that's just not really on the table right now.
Mhm. Well, understandable. And as you mentioned with dirt racing, we've interviewed dirt racer Jade Avedizian before. Obviously, with dirt racing, it's kind of about maintaining your stuff throughout the whole weekend because you've got one car, you've only got so many parts, you've got a bunch of crew guys, if
Hmm.
that sometimes. And you even just mentioned that you guys had 6 sets of tires to go through a whole weekend of worth of races. Coming from a background where you have to conserve your stuff like that, is that helpful for the situation, as you mentioned in ARCA, where you guys are running around with one car or one chassis that is, and having to kind of
So
save
yeah,
everything you have?
no, I've always been like that my whole career, and that's one thing that people kind of know me for is I'm a cautious driver. I might not fill a gap necessarily if it's there, but at the end of the day, I know if this camera is driving me crazy. Let me hear. We're gonna unplug something real quick and hope it doesn't break nothing. So a big deal with that is growing up running. I didn't fix it, but a big deal with that is racing locally. I always had one car, going through go-karts, I only had one chassis, one motor. We've always had one spare, or not even spare, that one primary car. The dirt late models, for years, we only had one car. If I went out here, I drove through somebody, and tore a front clip up, or I had to, replace a nose. I was still in high school when I first started dirt racing. I'd, go to school, and I would come home and do my homework, and then immediately go out in the garage and start working on a dirt car, like replacing body panels, hammering stuff out, doing what I can to get it ready if I wanted to race it next week, and grooving, siping tires. And then kind of going back on the tire deal. So the asphalt guys, and those guys go through 3 or 4 sets, a weekend for dirt.
Yeah.
Like it's 6 tires. It's not 6 sets. It's six
Oh,
tires.
oh, oh,
The
wow.
whole
Okay.
no, it's you got four for typically if it's like a 2 night show, you got practice some of that one night. It's you have to or practice in heat races. It's you got 4 tires for the practice qualifying heat races, and you can throw 2 more on for a feature if you want. Like it's a very budget
Oh, yeah.
tier compared to asphalt. When tires are about the same. A set and a half versus 4 sets, and asphalt racing you have a 10,000, 5,000 win race here, here and there, maybe 25 or 30 or $50,000 win race. You go dirt racing, you can travel, within 5 or 6 hours, find a 20, 30, 50, 15, $10,000, at least a minimum average, show pays 3 or 4 grand to win. And
Yeah.
most of the shows pay, $1,000 to start, and they don't really even send anybody home. They might send, 2 or 3 cars home if they're spread thin enough. But almost my entire career, I haven't really been in a position where we have a backup car just sitting there race ready to go, where we have spare parts, spare motor, and that's only fairly recently where we got to that point where we have spare equipment. And so the first time we really had to do it was so like we've always ran older equipment. So like our primary car for years, there's a phone right there. There's a phone. Um,
Going up
Hi,
on
it
the
says hi right
socials.
there too. It says right there. That's great. Um, so we ran about it was a 2012 late model, dirt late model. This is like 2021, 2022, or about 2020, 2021, like a brand new to us. It's like a 2011, 2012 late model we got from Rayburn. It was a bare chassis. We got bought all used parts. We went through refurbished stuff and kind of took our time building it because that's all we were able to afford at the time. And I say 6 tires, a weekend, most guys buy those 6 tires. We're still running the same ones from like last week, and we bought tires every couple of weeks as we could, and those typically the winnings paid for the tires is how that one went. Um, and that's kind of the way we rolled, and so we got then a deal. A guy had, a roller late model chassis for like $1,500, and basically I went 2 years without tearing up anything, and we were finally able to get a backup. It was like a 2004 Rayburn, so about 20 years old at this point. We got this is a bare bones motor and threw in it, and so for the first time in my career, I actually had a backup car ready to roll. And we took 2 cars to the track, and that was pretty cool. And there was one night in 2022 we went through 3 cars in 3 nights, and it wasn't wrecking them. It was just we rolled out on track for hot laps, had a brand new motor. Like I said, you know, I go a season and a half, 2 seasons without wrecking or tearing anything too major up. We can kind of invest in better, bigger, better stuff, and we spent a decent amount of money on a brand new motor, especially a pretty beefy thing, about 900 horsepower. Went out on hot laps and blew up. I'm like that's
Yeah.
great. So we're back to our bare bones small block Chevy, uh, in the backup car, rolled that one out and we got wrecked. Made my first ever Lucas Oil late model feature. Probably one of the last Rayburns to do so. And this is like in the 2022, I believe. Made a Lucas Oil late model feature. These are guys that race for a living. So like
Oh,
this is like a
yeah.
national touring series.
Oh,
These are the
yeah.
guys that go get the Road of Outlaws. So that was pretty sweet. We got wrecked. It was a really weird deal. A giant bolt had come off of a car. Uh, and hit me right middle. Like it was a something that held in like rear housing
Yeah.
birdcage bolt. So it was a half inch, and it was like 7 or 8 inches long. It was a pretty beefy bolt, and just found its way straight through. I mean, we have window bars and everything, and it knocked me right in the visor and kind
Ah,
of startled me. And at the same time, someone got loose behind me. It was just a perfect accident. So it was like I said, it was 3 nights of racing in a row for us. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we had a friend that had a crate late model for sale. It's like, hey man, it's 2016, 604 crate. They're gonna be out horsepowered by about 300 horsepower, and we had by not tearing enough stuff by not tearing anything up, we had it's enough spare money. They were kind of ready to roll. Went and bought, and that's still our primary dirt car when we go racing is that 2016 chassis. And motors, we take junkyard LSs, and you got guys that are spending 30, $40,000 on a motor and getting 900 horsepower. We're spending 2 or 3 grand rebuilding a junkyard LS out of a Chevy pickup truck. You
yeah.
know spending, like I said, $3,000 in it, refreshing it, putting a cam in it, doing some head work, and we get about 500, 600 horsepower for $3,000. And we're not out here, blowing the doors off, but we're able to be somewhat competitive. And we do everything we can on a budget. And we just don't have any spare parts. Crew guys, it's typically me, my dad, and one crew guy. Is
Yeah.
if that. Like we don't have anybody full-time crew guys to do stuff. Um, I've had to literally get out of the car because luckily dirt will give it 3 or 4 caution after you get your stuff fixed. I've had to get out, jack my own car up, change my own tire, and get back out there. Thankfully, caution went along, but I've had to do a lot of my stuff kind of on my own.
Yeah. And that's kind of how the short track race and especially the
Hmm.
dirt track racing scene is. You kind of see those little moments where it's kind of like Sterling Marlin hopping out of the car under a red
Yeah.
flag. And it's cool moments like that, but obviously, humble beginnings because you got to know how to manage your stuff as you
Hmm.
said. Nevertheless, you are a part of one of the younger waves in NASCAR, so that means you have a lot of involvement in iRacing. Now,
Hmm.
as most of our followers know, we've had you on our esports program running an SJRL a few times now. To be one of those guys that kind of leans on iRacing in a way to kind of help practice stuff like that. How does iRacing help you in your perspective, and how could it help others?
So yeah, do look at guys nowadays. You got Shane Smith, the Taylor and Tanner Gray, William Solowich, a lot of guys kind of moving up through the ranks, and a lot of guys, TRD drivers, and they have access to the Joe Gibbs simulators and this and that, or Chevy simulators and Toyota Chevy, Junior Hendrick, they have access to all these top-notch simulators.
Yeah,
I'm fairly independent compared to those guys. I don't have a manufacturer alliance. I'm not bringing $1 million to the table to race.
yeah,
I have Irish. That's all I have. I don't really have access to those top-notch engineers, the S&T data, the sims like those guys, like the 7-point chassis simulator, since replicates every bump. I might get a hammer and if I'm going over a bump, I might hit my chair and see if I can replicate it that way. But I mean, it's tough. But it's what I got. I like to show up the track and transmit it up to the camera iRacing. I'll work with like Justin Yee or DJ Yee on YouTube, and he's a pretty good driving coach. And he's pretty familiar with the ARCA car and iRacing. It's not quite like the real life ARCA car, but it's pretty close. And
yeah.
so I'll work with him a lot as far as prepping tracks, different braking points, turning points. Hey, wait for the car to do this and that. And even though he's never really raced in real life, he understands how the cars work. He has that engineering background, and he's really good at explaining the way things work or why they work. And so I work with him closely a lot for races.
Hmm. To move forward, obviously, this year didn't get off to a great start. Obviously, you had the Rise Motorsports
Hmm.
announcement kind of pick up the
Hmm.
emotions a little bit, but before that was Daytona, where you sadly missed the field, and you shared some strong emotions with us. So feel free to kind of explain, what happened, what your input on it as a whole.
Yeah, so Daytona, we're the only series that does group qualifying, and just for sake of time, ARCA is always the bottom of the totem pole when we're at a national series event like that. Just for constraints for time, it's Daytona 500 race week. You got so
Yeah,
many different series. All 4 national series are there. Cup, Truck, Xfinity, ARCA. And I mean, you got tons of cars. You got practice for all 4 series, qualifying, racing, this and that. And it's a busy week. It's hard to really fit on track time for single car qualifying here. Um, and so like we're the only series that does group qualifying. We always have, as far as recent years go, and it can create a lot of uncertainty. And Cup tried a couple years ago and they quit doing it for a reason.
yeah,
And so it's random groups. We got 6, 7 cars. You go out there, you got 2 or 3 laps. That's it. It's not like it's like how Cup did. I'd prefer almost a Cup format where you got 50 minutes, go out there, pick your group, and make something happen. You have a lot more in your destiny, in your control, and that way. This one, it's you go out there and you miss a shift on a start, the car doesn't start, battery wire comes loose, spark plug wire comes loose. That's it. You're missing the show. And there were a
yeah,
couple cases like that where you know you have, like I said, it's completely random assortment. And there was kind of a deal like that where a top name driver missed the show because they had a group of 6, 7 guys or drivers, and 5 or 6 of them had a different strategy than said top name driver, and
yeah,
if that was intentional or not, we'll never know. But this guy goes out there and you pull on pit road, you're supposed to stop, and that's kind of what we did. And uh, this guy pulls out on pit road, and the first six guys had already gone. And he just didn't have any. He had no draft, no help, and at that
Yeah,
point, he was out of the show. And uh, basically for us, kind of same deal is by virtue of the draw, we were one of the last ones in our lineup, and we pulled out. And as they were stopping, some guys start. You're supposed to line up single file. There's a whole format to it, and no one ever follows the format. And Arca never really does anything though, either.
yeah,
Just because it's a way things do, the way the cookie crumbles. And so some guys try passing us on the outside. We're like, hey, this isn't part of the plan. And, our whole group did an excellent job of working together, and we talked to each other a little bit before the race. And there was a group chat, and I may or may not have been involved in the group chat. I'm not even going to get into that. There's some guys on different strategy outside of us, it seemed, in group that they tried to hide it from us, I guess. And um basically going in turn one, some guy tries to be a hero, and like I said, there's only 6 or 7 of us, and you got 2 or 3 laps. That's
yeah,
it. And so we're going in the one. Some guys try and pass cars. And there's no reason he brought a mistake, and he tries to drop low and cut my nose off, and I can either burp the throttle and try to get back in line. Like I said, at this point, I'm last car in line, or I can stay in it, and I'm turning both of us down the track, and we're definitely not making it. And
exactly.
so it was all said and done. I broke the throttle, and we just lost the draft coming out of two, and we just never got it. And in terms of single car speed, we were great single car speed. We were only 2 3 tenths off a very top notch piece,
Oh
which at
yeah,
Daytona, like look at the Cup guys, and those are all doing qualifying trimmed out. We weren't even qualified trimmed; we were just race trimmed. And I mean, like, I think if it was single car qualifying, we would have been easily top 10, top 15 car. And so we were just on the outside looking in, nothing we could have really done about it. But the way the race went, I'm kind of thankful we missed it because a lot of stuff got torn up, and I don't really feel like paying a crash clause
yeah.
to get wrecked on lap three. So I'm kind of grateful though the way it worked out for us.
Hmm. And obviously, you come from a dirt background, everything. Um, second generation driver, which some
Mhm.
people may not know. Tell us more about that, how it kind of feels to kind of follow in footsteps.
So it's definitely, yeah, like a lot of people don't really know. My dad did like street stock figure eight stuff locally
Yeah.
back in the day. And, basically he's always been involved in race cars, always loved race cars, and he's owned race cars since the 80s. And like it's like front wheel drives and street stocks, nothing too fancy. In 2005, he actually put together an ARCA car. Tried to run one race with Dave Morris as a driver. They missed the field, and he said, "Nah, that was stupid," and never tried it again. So I mean, he's mainly though been big figure eight guy, and I kind of grew up going to the racetrack with him. That was kind of all I knew growing up was racetrack and racing, and to kind of follow his footsteps. It definitely pretty cool.
Hmm. And from here, currently you're in ARCA part-time, you're showing up in the truck series part-time. What is your end goal in terms of career status?
Like I kind of brought up a little bit ago, I want to be able to race and call it a career. Like
Yeah.
right now, the Wikipedia page says professional race car driver, but I'm not able to buy cat food, racing. So that'd be the end goal. And there's a lot of guys that make good money running dirt. There's a lot of guys that make good money running trucks or expanding your cup, and not really anyone in ARCA right now that makes money running ARCA. They get by running ARCA, but they don't make money running ARCA. And
Exactly.
so, I'd like to be able to be one of those guys that kind of do it for a career. That would obviously be the end goal, and I'm not really anywhere near that stage yet, but that would definitely be pretty cool. Hopefully we can get back to the Truck Series sometime soon. It's been a while, about a year and a half since we ran Knoxville, and that was the last race we ran. So we'd like to be able to get back sometime soon and do it, but we'll play that one by ear.
Hmm. And to kind of wrap things off for anyone listening that isn't familiar with you yet, you have the nickname the Pizza Man.
Mhm.
Feel free to kind of explain, the background on that nickname and where it originates from.
So I just like pizza. That's pretty plain and simple. I just like pizza, and I have the pepperoni pizza helmet, and uh everyone's kind of began to know me for having that pizza helmet. Excuse me. Woo. And so people kind of started calling me the pizza man. I've always liked pizza, and it goes back to middle school. I had a pizza, like a pizza sweatshirt and pizza backpack I always had, and I've got stickers and my name rail. It's usually my actual name rail that I run in ARCA.
Got the yeah,
I
the
just have them printed
pizza.
out. That's one thing about running for small ARCA teams is have times you have your own decals. I
Yeah.
should totally sell these on my website. You
You
can buy all
should.
kinds of other stuff at
Uh,
BraytonAsset.com though. I have diecast, helmet replicas, this and that. Shirts, flip-flops. I have hand towels if you want a hand towel with my face on it.
I
You can
got
buy
a
that.
little bit of
So
everything.
yeah, we got quite a bit going on there. So I just like pizza and kind of became my personality and people liked it. So that's kind of what we went with.
All right. Well, to kind of add on to that, I guess that was a lie, not the last question, but this one will be. So, obviously, being kind of on the smaller side in terms of where you're at in the NASCAR world, racing
hmm
world right now, still trying to grow. How does it help kind of having the little gimmick of, being the pizza man? How does that help kind of get your name out there a little more?
it definitely creates some personality. That's one thing I feel like a lot of modern drivers lack right now is personality.
Oh yeah.
You don't really know the background. I feel like show with
Oh,
it, crew, this and that, and oh,
your camera finally gave up.
oh, 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 we've lost it.
We're back and we're frozen again. Oh no.
We're losing it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think the
You can hear,
camera's
you
just
can't see me?
okay. Now it's back.
Now,
Oh no. The Zoom gods did not want us finishing this interview.
this is not going well.
Well, oh, I think we're
Hello?
back. I think we're
I don't
back.
know.
We're
Can you
good.
see me?
Yeah, I can see you, hear you.
You
We're
can
good.
hear me.
Yes.
I have no idea what happened, but that was incredible. I can't wait to go back and watch that. I don't think my computer liked this interview at all.
It
So,
doesn't. Oh,
we will do our best here to try and wrap it up. Um,
oh no. The camera is not having a fun time.
no, this is not going very well.
All right. I think we're good again. Hopefully. No, no, it froze again.
I
It wouldn't be a BRP episode without something random to happen. This kind of has just been the weekly shtick. I think we're good. Hopefully. Knock on wood. Everything's working. And now it's frozen. I jinxed it. I just shut up.
all right.
Well, if we have to go without a camera for the last question, it is what it is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know what's happening, but we're gonna go cameraless, and I
All
think that's the
right.
problem. I think the camera's killing everything,
Uh,
so we're gonna go cameraless. Let's imagine a picture of my face.
just yeah, I'll try to plaster just something, edit it in. All right. But yeah, nevertheless, how do you think it kind of the gimmick kind of helps or the persona, if you will?
Um, I think it definitely helps to add personality. Everyone likes pizza. I like pizza. I feel like it kind of adds to everything I'm trying to build as a brand.
Yeah.
It's very relatable. I think people like it. I like it, and it's kind of me. It shows me I'm like, hey, I'm a goofy, kid, and I like pizza. And so I think people kind of relate to that a little bit, and it kind of adds a little bit of personality behind me.
Mm. Well, obviously understandable there, but nevertheless, that's gonna wrap things up. Probably for the best since your camera's kind of given up on you finally after chugging along all recording. But nevertheless, Brayton, thank you for coming on. I do greatly appreciate it. This has been a long time coming. We've been trying to figure out when to
It's been
get this
about a
done
year
for
and a
months.
half. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
been a
been
minute.
pretty tedious. I'm glad we finally got it. I'm glad it went about as well as my Daytona qualifying effort there at the end. Um, so we brought it home in one piece, a little scratch on it, but we finished.
Yes,
We
sir.
got to the checkered flag, and I'll trust in your editing capabilities to put my face on something.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do this. I'm gonna try my hardest to get just a photo of you just plastered on there. But nevertheless, yeah, thank you for coming on. Thank you to everyone for tuning into this week's episode. We'll see you guys on the next one. And until then, goodbye.